Thanks again, yeah. Chief Fun Officer?
Chief Fun Officer,
Yeah.
I'll take it.
That's awesome. Real quickly, so nice introductions, thanks Jason. And day in the life. I'm gonna have you guys each go first a little bit, because I enjoyed a little bit talking before we got up here.
Yeah.
What the day in the life for you from a Las Vegas global standpoint, and from Resort World standpoint, Ron, at a hyperlocal level. What day in the life of what you do?
There is no consistent day in our lives. I think I speak for both of us when I say that. Every single day is different, and that's because we are a 24/7, 365 product. It's never turned off. We don't close our doors. We are always going. And we have such a mix of clientele that's coming to Las Vegas, whether it's meetings like this, whether it's sporting events like F1, or CES. I heard a lot of the Lenovo team talking about that. It's a bachelorette party, whatever. We have so many different groups coming to town for different reasons that our days are just constantly different because we are catering to each and every one of those groups that are here. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, there's a high level of nimbleness, right?
Yes.
Because as a property, I'm constantly competing for business, and as a city, we're constantly competing for business. So, to Kate's point, we're never turned off, right? I know both of us are essentially accessible almost 24 hours because there's a need to be competitive.
Exactly. I'm gonna steal your role for a second. Can we play the first
I was just gonna
video?
say
Because I think that sets the tone for what our day is like.
Las Vegas, are you ready? Formula One on the streets of Las Vegas.
I like the calm and the peace at the end.
Right.
For a city that never sleeps, that's a great sizzle reel.
Yeah.
And I didn't say it up front, but it's a pleasure to be on stage with you guys. An incredibly busy week this week. From the days of yesteryear to what we are today in Las Vegas is completely transformed this city. And Kate, we're going to start out with you on this. Las Vegas has always been known as the entertainment capital of the world, but recently has exploded as a sports town. Clearly, that was very intentional. We know that. Can you talk a little bit about that? How did you ensure Las Vegas was the leading sports tourism capital in the United States?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in Vegas we wear a lot of titles proudly. We are definitely the entertainment capital of the world. We're the weddings capital of the world, which is kind of odd, but okay, we'll take it. We're the meetings capital of the world. And we have been working really hard to be the sports and entertainment capital of the world. And we are so proud of that with things like F1 coming to town. And we worked really hard to bring that and some other events that we'll talk about here. But we have always been known as a sports town. We've had roots in it, from massive boxing matches back in the 80s, right, to NASCAR, to PBR, to NFR. We host a ton of collegiate, finals and basketball, but March Madness, there is no better place to be than Las Vegas. Super Bowl, whether or not we're hosting it, there is no better place to be than Las Vegas. So it's inherently been in our DNA. We've just had the opportunity with some major infrastructure development to solidify us being a sports town, and that was really with bringing on professional teams and leagues. So I think between a 4-year period, we went from having 0 professional sports to having 3 teams, and we're working on our 4th. So we brought in, who I think you guys are going to hear from tomorrow, NHL expansion team with Vegas Golden Knights. We brought in the WNBA relocation team, the Las Vegas Aces, 2-time world champions.
Mm-hmm.
We brought in the Raiders. Oh my God, I was blanking for a second. In 2020, did a joint partnership, the Las Vegas, the destination, as well as the Raiders, building Allegiant Stadium, which enabled the Raiders to relocate to Las Vegas and have the first season here in 2020. And I mentioned we are working on our 4th, and that's Major League Baseball bringing in the A's, which will be a relocation team to Las Vegas. And so a lot of money, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of intentionality around making sure that we own this growing, massive fandom and growing segment that we use for tourism.
When you look at the role, your team's role, how does that then trickle down to the properties, and how do you work with the properties? I thought that was very fascinating when you described from how you reach out to Ronn, for instance, and work with the properties.
So we work hand in hand. We're actually funded from a room tax. So when you guys are all staying here, there's a portion of your bill that funds the marketing arm of Las Vegas. That's me and my organization, my team. And what we do is not only do we do commercials and just normal general advertising to drive demand for Las Vegas, we look at what events do we need to bring in town that layer in compression or that provide this global spotlight for the destination. And we'll look at our property partners and say, hey, what do you think about the Super Bowl hosting in 2024? What do you think about shutting down Las Vegas Boulevard to host a Formula One race? And so there's a lot of collaboration between us and our property partners. And so for us, we are going to work to pitch and bring an event to town, whether it's CES, that's in our building, or Formula One that takes over the street, and then work with the property partners to say, okay, now you guys go activate it, figure out how you use that to drive heads and beds, essentially.
I still remember the F1 announcement when they said they're going to shut down the strip for the race, and I found that fascinating at first, and I thought about the benefits of F1 coming to town, all the heads and beds, all the experiential marketing that comes along with that, and what it must have been to have that conversation to say, hey, do you mind if we shut down that road?
Yeah,
that must have been a fascinating conversation to have with the teams.
That definitely was not an easy conversation, and it took a lot of education. We took a lot of our property CEOs globally around the world to go and figure out what is it like to host it. The Resorts World team came with us to Singapore, where of course they're based with their Malaysian owners, and looked at how does Singapore build their race and operate it, what's the impact on the destination. And so constantly learning from other destinations to figure out, is this going to be a good thing for Las Vegas? And ultimately, 1.5 billion economic impact for Las Vegas on our first race last year. That's the biggest event in Las Vegas' history, just to put it in perspective.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. From signing the contracts and execution, all the ideation that goes behind it, the brainstorming that goes behind all these events, from the time the contracts are signed, how do properties like Resort World then take advantage of the contracts post ink being dry? Now it's time to get to work, roll the sleeves.
Yeah, I mean, things like the the citywide opportunities that Kate and her team bring together, I mean, that's what gets us excited, right? Especially, look, I have a relatively new brand in Las Vegas. It's 3rd generation when you look at its roots in Singapore and Malaysia, but I'm 3.5 years old. right? We used these statements, these exciting statements prior to opening, first mega property to open in 11 years, and that statement loses all value the day you open because now you're competing against minimum of 11 years of brand foundation in the most competitive hospitality market in the world. So when there's an opportunity that's coming to town, there's a lot of depth and strategy that comes into play on our side because we want to understand how we can bring in the consumer audiences that are coming to Vegas. And I have a very unique property because, you know, a previous role I was at another property and it was a very single set of consumer that you were trying to attract. My current brand really does not have a barrier of entry. So when I look at having 3 hotel products under one campus, and it's really speaking a marketing language to each of those consumers, and it's a different price point. So as you look at what we've done this weekend, we've tried to create a lot of experiences at the property that are going to be able to be attractive to a lot of different demographics, but play into the overall weekend and experience of F1.
You say campus. It's one of my favorite new resorts. I stay there a lot when I come here. This is my 7th convention in Las Vegas this year, and 6 of those have been Resort World. So thanks for putting together a beautiful campus, and there's a lot there. You don't have to go anywhere.
Wait,
and a great
raise your
place.
hand if you've been to Resorts World. Nice. Those that didn't raise your hand, you got to get over there. It's gorgeous.
Let's show your video.
Welcome to the 2024 NFL Honors. We are here at Resorts World Theater in Las Vegas.
Resorts World. Nice. Ron, give us some examples real quickly. How are you guys activating on F1 with F1 in town this week?
We really tried to focus on things that were either kind of pre or post race. You know, we found last year that consumers are either on the track or they're engaged in watching or some sort of activity that is race connected. So daytime, I've got a food festival that's going to take place in the IU space, which is our day club space. A lot of brunches, a lot of focus on kind of, again, that kind of pre-race activity. And then late night, I'm activating the nightclub for 4 straight nights. And then I've got a little bit more of a nightclub lounge event that's going to take place on Alley on 66. Plus, I have like this event tent that we've set up that's going to have the go-karts in there. It's going to have retail merchandise, kind of fan fest-based experiences. On top of just trying to position the property, I want to have this consumer path around where you feel connection or immersiveness to the culture of race or the culture of automobiles. So you're going to see a lot of different cars displayed around the property that are starting to come in. And my sponsorship brand team did a great job of activating different brands around the property. Look, I kind of look at the property in the perspective of a festival, kind of, right? Like, how can I keep activity around the entirety so someone feels connected or someone's coming to town really feels like they're immersed in the experience of the weekend?
I'm surprised you're here. Thanks for being here because it's a busy week for both of you. Again, I'm going to say it again. It's great to get all these events here, and the F1 week is just one of many that come to town throughout the course of the year. How do we quantify this from the city level, from the resort level, and that's for both of you?
Yeah, I think I mentioned the 1.5 billion economic impact for F1. So we look at, for the larger marquee events like F1, like Super Bowl, like NCAA Final Four, which we'll be hosting in a couple years, what's the overall economic impact for the destination? But we also break it down in terms of just what's the room nights that we're driving from it. And importantly, from a marketing point of view, what's the spotlight or what's the buzz? Like, how are we using these events, not just to drive heads and beds for that specific weekend or that event, but what's the spotlight we're going to get for the destination? Something like F1, that is the largest global spotlight we've ever had on the destination. I think their 2023 cumulative numbers were almost 1.5 billion viewers of their entire season. And it's, and the Las Vegas Grand Prix was one of the most tuned in races globally as well. So that is marketing that I cannot go out and buy. And so think like using events for their spotlight that they provide to us is just as important as the immediate room nights that we get to. It's probably how you look at it, right?
I was going to say, I don't want to go tell my CFO this, but like I honestly sometimes care less about the financial impact and the brand impact. Like Super Bowl weekend, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, but I thought Resort World won overall because I started the week with NFL honors and I ended the week with the Chiefs and Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift celebrating in my nightlife venue. And when I looked at the media attention, again, I'm a relatively new brand in Las Vegas, competing against some very big companies, and to leave that weekend where, it's like, I always say it's like when you're not looking for a compliment. That Monday morning when I'm getting texts from people and they're like, oh man, the property looked like it was on fire this weekend, you had this going on, it's like that unsolicited type of like compliment. It felt amazing. And it goes back to the whole thing, like right now I'm in this phase of trying to build this brand to be competitive and to build this brand to be different, right? Non-comparables. I know I'm not Wynn. I know I'm not Cosmopolitan. I'm Resort World. But to be able to do that and have these events here, that is very meaningful to me.
So for Super Bowl, that was $1 billion in economic impact for the destination, but also it was the #1 telecast. So I think it was 123 million people tuned in to watch the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. But the stat that I love the most, that they don't really say, which drives me nuts, is it was the most talked about Super Bowl in history across digital. And it had 4 times the amount of digital conversation than the last 4 Super Bowls combined. and that speaks to the power of Vegas, the power of what our resort properties are doing in terms of like creating these amazing only Vegas experiences that everybody is talking about digitally. And that's what we want, because that is marketing and FOMO for every other event that we do. It sort of lays the foundation for coming back to Las Vegas.
Those are fantastic digital numbers. I didn't realize that.
It's unbelievable.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. We talk a lot about these tentpole events, F1, Super Bowls, etc. I kind of refer to that as vertical marketing. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the horizontal space for a little bit. And look at entertainment marketing and entertainment tourism. That's the consistency that's been here for eons, right?
Right.
What does that mean to both of you locally?
I would say the bulk of our visitor base is coming because it's Las Vegas, and Las Vegas is known for entertainment. When I look at the numbers for sports, in 2023 we had 6% of our visitors, of our 40 million visitors, 41 million visitors, were here for a specific sporting event or to watch sports in Las Vegas. The majority of the rest of those people are coming to gamble, to sightsee because it's Vegas, and to attend a show. And it's, yes, we get all those like massive like global tours of, we had Taylor Swift, the Taylor Swift effect is real. Beyonce, that was massive, getting her in Allegiant Stadium as well. But the big differentiator of Las Vegas is what our property partners do with these theaters, and where they're bringing in these residencies with global superstars that are performing frequently, where they get so comfortable, they're talking to you like you're in their living room. And so it's not this huge, arena tour. You're getting these personalized, really unique residencies and performances from the Carrie Underwoods, the, Bruno Mars, the Lady Gagas. It's Adele. Her final shows are this weekend. For those of you who haven't gone, go. But yeah, entertainment has always been a major driver of visitation.
Yeah, it was highly important to us. The first message we put out as a property, we were in the construction phase through the pandemic and opened right at kind of call it the tail end. And the first message we put out as a property was a video that encompassed our residents. And again, we were at a phase where we did not have a physical product, so there was this very fantasy, whimsical commercial that we put together, and it leaned into entertainment. We understood at that point entertainment was going to be a pillar of our brand, and obviously a pillar of driving consumers to our destination. And it really still becomes that. Like the theater itself, like I see a big effect at the property when I'm not programmed for a weekend. So when the theater is dark, it's definitely a completely different dynamic. Like my restaurants even suffer because on a good theater night, I'm going to get 3 really big turns. That post dinner, your normal dining turns, and then I'm going to get the post theater show as well. I'm going to get a little bit of capture point there. So it's that impactful to the success of the property to really lean into entertainment and have that consistency of programming.
Ron, I'm going to keep you in the spotlight for just a second. When you look at the entertainment events, horizontal events, vertical events, and sporting events, entertainment, are they good for driving top of mind awareness for Las Vegas, or are they good for driving brand loyalty?
I think both. I really think both because, look, there's certain artists at this stage that are only playing Las Vegas, right? So I think collectively that's good for Vegas, right? And now when you get granular to the property level, and I'm not talking about the big touring arena acts, I'm talking when you take it, like Kate said, and you take someone who is an arena act and you take them into a space of intimacy, right? You're talking 4,000 people are getting to see someone who is traditionally performing for 70,000 people. Now, in that world, again, I think there's this mutual benefit to Las Vegas as a city and to the property. You can only see this person in Las Vegas, and now granularly, you can only see this person at Resort World. It's a very strong message that I think helps in creating curiosity of consumer interest, which hopefully leads that curiosity to capture, which then translates into revenue.
Well, we know your time is valuable this week. We really appreciate you both being up here. Thank you so much. We have time for just a couple brief questions. I know there's probably a ton in this room can ask these two, but a couple questions up front for Kate or Ron.
Over here.
Yeah, Ron, for you, quick question. As you see more and more properties, stadiums using technology to create fan experience and integration, like, I gotta say, I was here for the Super Bowl, stayed there, like, the dude wipe stuff was unbelievable. Like, I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was really interesting to capitalize on the Kelsey Swift thing, tongue-in-cheek, but, you know, curious to see how you pull that off without offending anyone or how dude wipes did, but do you find that to be, how's the integration of technology, you know, to create, you know, fandom, if you will, or integration with guests? How's it impacting your business?
I think when the technology works, it's good, right?
Yeah.
I do think, you know, we had some narratives, we had some call it mission statements that we put out pre-opening that was leaning very heavily into tech. I'll be honest, about half the tech worked, right? So, and then we also found out that, you know, there was a percentage of the consumer that wasn't necessarily interested in some of the tech that we were offering, right? I think we put it out there thinking that there was going to be this future progression after the pandemic where consumer behavior was going to change, and it really didn't. I think people were looking to maintain variables of consistency, especially on their return to travel. So again, we constantly are looking for new ways to have technology play into marketing and experience. And just sometimes I think we should battle test it a little bit more. The dude wipe thing was interesting because, look, it kind of played on this a little tongue-in-cheek. We want to be a little bit edgier of a property in some points, but we don't want to offend. So I think that probably fell somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I have a question for you all. Who's going to F1? Raise your hand. Excellent. You're going to have a great time. Amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.